Hello.
Trey, what's going on? It's Brian.
We can hear him.
What's up? How you doing, Brian?
I'm doing well, sir. How are you?
I'm good. Day's going good. Everything's been pretty good so far.
You've been a busy guy. You had what, 5 o'clock workout or meeting this morning, and then you had your speed training and whatnot this afternoon or evening.
Yeah, that's the usual schedule for me. So it's nothing new.
Let me ask you that. What made you? We're just going to dive right into your interview. Sorry. What instilled that need to get up at 5 a.m. and do film reviews and instilled this, it's almost like a professional mindset you have where you're just grinding all day for football. Like what made you want to start doing that?
For me, it was more so, when I was younger, it was, I wanted to be the best. I wanted to be most prepared. And it still is that, right? But, now I kind of go by this whole chosen one thing, right? And when I say that to people think I'm saying, oh, I've been chosen, I'm the chosen one. No, when I say that is, I'm always going to choose me. And there's only one person I'm going to choose. And, I choose myself over anybody. But the reason why I choose myself is because I've put that work and time and, everything into my craft. So that's why I like to say, you got to be a chosen one. I'm the chosen one. I choose myself over anybody.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. A little bit about your recruitment too. So obviously you had offers from virtually every school in the country. What was it about Nebraska that stood out to you and led you to decide to commit to Nebraska?
So first things first is Coach Rule, Coach Thomas, Coach Holgerson. They've put it like this. When the head coach and your position coach have both been at the highest level, they know what it takes to get to the NFL. Coach Holgerson is an offensive-minded coach that has coached some of the most explosive offenses in college football, period. Right? Overall, the vibe of Lincoln and who I will be surrounding myself with, just me as a man, as a person, I feel like that town can grow me the most. Now, football, going back to football-wise, I feel like we're really creating something special there, and we will. I now have given myself a year and a half to go get whatever we need to make ourselves known worldwide and bring Nebraska football back to what it was. And Dylan has already started that process. So, for me, it's my job to essentially, continue to help that and get the next generation of football players in there.
So I want to backtrack a little bit. You mentioned Coach Thomas, and just from a Nebraska fan's perspective, when we hear about recruits and who they're talking to, he's not someone that comes up a lot. He strikes me as a guy that's very quietly confident in what he teaches and where he can take you. Can you tell Nebraska fans a little bit more about Coach Thomas? Because, we really only get like 5 minutes every other week with him in press conferences. And I think that's a guy Nebraska fans are really curious about knowing more about.
Yeah. I think Coach Thomas, I'll say this. My first time meeting Coach Thomas, I was like, you could tell this guy is straight football. And obviously as a kid that loves football, you love that. But, you're also a kid that has you got to realize that, he's so absorbed into football. That first time meeting him, it was like, dang, this, kind of that, it was a weird feeling at first. But once you get around Coach, once you get around him and, you guys really get into football, you guys really get into, just life in general, Coach is maybe the most calm, coolest coach that, I've probably been around. And I've been around them all. He knows the game front and back like nobody I've ever met. And, I feel like he's the coach that can just develop me overall the best.
He's had some success with Matt Ryan, too, in the NFL, which You know, I think he was the quarterback coach there the year Matt Ryan won MVP, if I'm not mistaken.
When they went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. I believe he was that QB coach there.
2 of his 3 MVPs were under him.
Oh, Justin just said he thinks two of Matt Ryan's 3 MVPs were under Coach Thomas.
I think they were, yes.
That's awesome. So still with your recruitment, so you visited Nebraska for that Rutgers game, and then you visited for the Wisconsin game. Both were night games in Lincoln, which is like the best time to ever visit for a game. What was it about those 2 visits that stood out for you? And if I'm not mistaken, wasn't it the Rutgers game where you got your offer at like midfield from Coach Rule?
Yeah, so the Rutgers game is when I got an offer pregame midfield.
Okay.
But that game was a daytime game. And the Wisconsin game was too. It just, it got at the beginning of the fourth quarter, it got darker.
Yeah. Sorry, that's my dog.
No, you're good. Repeat the question again.
What was it about those visits, the Rutgers and the Wisconsin game, that stood out to you?
Shoot. We're talking about a Wisconsin defense that held Oregon, who supposedly had one of the best offenses in the country. They have them to a very low scoring game, correct?
Yeah, it was like 17-14 final score. Oregon won.
And Nebraska put it on them.
Yeah, I think they scored like 45.
Something crazy like that. Right? So that was like this offense is like can go somewhere. It's going to be something by the time I get here. And they're going to have all their what's the saying? All their what is it saying? All their chess pieces in order. Like
all their
ducks in a row.
Ducks in a row. Yes, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you very much. Like they were there last year, but next year you can tell this is going to be executed at a different level. And so seeing that then, and then imagining myself where it could be when I get there, just like imagine that. That was the Wisconsin game. The Rutgers game was the first time I went there, and I was so into the crowd and how much the fan base was into the game, and just overall in general how loud it was. Like that overwhelmed me the first time I was there, and so then that's why I had to go back. And I realized, like, hey, I was there, but I really didn't, I was so locked in on everything else that the game itself was, it was there, but it was slipping my mind a little bit. So I went back and, I really got to watch the offense and see what they do. And their offense is a lot of what I do right now in high school. So that was another big thing. And, I feel like I'm pretty successful in my high school offense now. So, yeah.
Yeah, you could say that. 3,100 yards last year, first year starting. Pretty solid.
Yeah.
We got a question here from one of our subscribers. They want to know why you wear the number 6.
So I wear the number 6 because my father played running back, and he wore the number 6. But originally he wore 22. But anytime I watched him in my lifetime, he always wore 6. So that was the number I took over. And I just kind of stuck with it.
And then before we even had you on, we were talking recruiting and kind of big picture what Nebraska is doing with the 2026 class, 2027 class a little bit. And the common question that everyone was asking, because they knew who was coming on, and that would be you. They wanted to know, who are you peer recruiting?
I mean,
you name it.
Name a big recruit, and I'm trying to get after that. Here, let me pull up some names actually. Trey Moore, who just got that offer today from Nebraska, receiver.
Yep.
Jameer Brown, from Ohio, number 1 receiver in the country, currently committed to Ohio State.
Yeah.
We'll see how that ends up. Mason Hamlin, tackle from Lincoln Lake East in Illinois. Cameron Wagner, tackle for St. Joe's.
He's in that Chicago area with you too, isn't he?
Yep, from Illinois.
Yep.
Braden Parks, who goes to Brother Rice from Illinois. Zane Rowe, Ahmad Hudson, Antavius Ellis, Isaiah Rogers, Noah Roberts, Mason Cook. Like I said, who's a DB from Mount Carmel? What's his name?
Are these mostly like 2027 guys?
These are all 2027 guys.
And then Nasir Rankin is from that Chicago area too. Is he someone that you're like trying to get because?
Yes, Nasir Rankin.
Okay,
yes,
thank you.
All over.
He wants to play both basketball and football in college. Is that correct, or is that like a luxury but not a necessity for him?
Honestly, not going to get into that because I don't want to for him.
I understand that.
Like I know that obviously he loves basketball, he loves football, but he's
got some legit offers for basketball too. So he's really good.
Check the private chat, bro.
You're right. Yep. You're right.
We got a question too. Justin wants to know, what do you consider the best part of your game, and what is your biggest opportunity to work on?
Okay, so best part of my game I feel like is my pocket presence and my reading of a defense and accuracy. I feel like those are my three strongest parts of my game. Walking up to a defense, a lot of times I can tell what they're in. And when I watch film, I can tell what they're in. Obviously, this year, and mostly beginning part of my high school, once school started realizing we were going to really throw the rock around, they started playing drop 8. And so when I literally tell you it was 4 across and 4 across, one at intermediate, one at deep level, and then they had 3 down linemen, that's what it was. So, I feel like that. And then pocket presence, we played against some of the best D linemen in the Northwest area of the country. Mm-hmm. Nate Marshall, Fitzgerald from Loyola. Loyola is a college-sized football team, and my ability to have pocket presence in both those games and really throughout the whole season, I think if you watch my film, really just have a real good feel for where people are coming and their angles. And then accuracy obviously is a big part of the game for quarterbacks. A great ball is always going to beat great defense. So, I try and put the ball in catchable areas and protect my receivers. Make sure that they're always put in the best situation to succeed.
When Justin broke down your film, that was one thing we both, when we were watching your film, was just you had really good pocket awareness, pocket presence, and when you would roll out or scramble, we loved your ability to keep your eyes downfield, and that was one thing I think Justin, he can't hear anything, but I think Justin would say just was really impressive. Your arm angles was always consistent, over the top. You weren't getting loose with it, and there's some RPO plays we saw where you had a sidearm slot. You didn't have a great base because of the style of the RPO, but you just kind of slung it out there, and it was on time, it's accurate.
Right. I mean, that's all stuff I work on, and just having that ability to throw a ball like that, and not always being in the best positions.
We got a question here too from one of our subscribers, Cade Mayberry. He wants to know, who are your favorite NFL quarterbacks to watch?
So I love watching Jane Daniels. I love watching CJ Stroud. I love watching Aaron Rodgers. Really just because those are the people I try and, portray my game after. CJ Stroud's got some of the best accuracy in the game. Jaden Daniels' pocket presence and just how he moves and throwing on the run and just everything he does is what I try to imitate. And then Aaron Rodgers, I mean, his release is so fast. It doesn't get better than that.
You're making Justin giddy with the CJ Stroud stuff. He's a huge Texans fan, so he loves to hear that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that kid puts the ball in the money every time he lets go of it.
Yeah, he is phenomenal. Does anybody have any questions they want me to ask him before we let Trey get on with his evening? Justin, do you have anything?
One more. Yeah. I'm echoing, so
I'm sorry.
But I think the biggest thing I want to ask is how much has being a film junkie, student of the game, really helped his game take off, and what is the value that provides that gets him in here doing that? Constantly being a student of the game, studying the film. Like what does he do on there that helps him get better as a quarterback?
So Justin wants to know, how does being a student of the game and being a film junkie, how is that, taking your game to the next level? Does that sum it up, Justin? Yep.
So I'll say this, like, there's film junkies. Like, anybody can be a film junkie, right? People can sit down and watch film for hours. I wouldn't say it's more so about being prepared and like being able to translate what you see on film to the field. I feel like that's the biggest part about it. Like, a kid could sit down and watch film for 5.5 hours, but if you can't translate it to the field, then watching the film realistically does nothing for you. It might show you what's about to come, but if you don't know how to, like I said, if you don't know how to be an athlete and play football, the film is gonna help you, but it's not gonna play the game for you. But I would say that obviously being a film junkie and watching film and everything is probably one of the best things you can do. You're always going to be prepared, and that's one question that you can ask anybody, and I will always be prepared for every game I play.
And then just to wrap up here, we got one more question I saw in the chat. I want to find that one real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, where did it go? Sorry, our chat's kind of blowing up right now.
No, it's good. Shoot away. I got time.
Oh, where did it go? Oh, here it is from Judy Small. She wants to know what stood out to you other than Dylan Raiola.
Or who?
About Nebraska?
Who stood up?
I'm guessing it's probably like a player from practices you saw. And I don't know if you're comfortable sharing that since the season hasn't started yet, but if there's any guys you want to share, you can.
I mean, obviously it was cool to see Emmett. I mean, so like a lot of the games I went to and hearing the kids' names and stuff, obviously you're gonna look out for them on the field and watch them play. So Jacoby, or that's his name, right?
Ja'Cory Barney.
Yeah, Ja'Cory. Emmett, Dylan. Getting to know TJ. Who else? I mean, there was a load of kids that Cortez. It was cool to see him. You've been hearing his name so much that getting to see him practice, it was really cool. So there's a bunch of kids that I was really excited to watch. But while I was at practice, it was more so just watching Dylan, see how he moves, see how he really fits into the offense. Because I see a lot of me and him and me. So.
There's a question that just popped up in my head, and you hear this a lot from Coach Rule about, guys that are interested in coming to Nebraska. He wants you to come watch practice. And I think part of it, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, is there is a difference between the coach that's recruiting you and the coach that is coaching you. And if you could just kind of, how is that different for you from like Coach Thomas versus Coach Rule? Like how they are when they recruit you versus when they're on the practice field?
No difference at all.
Okay. Interesting.
And that's what I want every recruiting nation to know is that I went through, I'm committed. I've gone through the whole process. I've seen how coaches act when they're recruiting you and when they're coaching you. No difference at all.
That's awesome, actually.
When I tell you how they are off the field is how they are on the field. Obviously, they're going to be a little bit more strict because But I mean, how they are on the field is how they are off the field, and that's why I try and say when I say they are the most genuine people and straight up coaches I've met throughout this whole process. That's what I mean. Every recruit should know that about Nebraska football, and at the end of the day, shoot.
That's good that they're authentic like that.
What I'm going to say about Nebraska is this. When you hear Nebraska, and this is how my process was. This was for me. when you hear Nebraska, you automatically think, what is there? What is Nebraska? You don't know. It's not a name that pops up. It wasn't a name that popped up while I was getting recruited. But then getting there, going to Lincoln, seeing it for like being there and being in the moment and realizing that it's not a moment, it's a vision and what it could be like for me. Like, if you're a recruit and you're getting offered from Nebraska, the best thing you could do is take a visit there. Because Lincoln and the coaching staff there will be the best and, best people you will ever meet and the most real people. And I mean that for real.
It's not the cornfields that everyone has that perception of.
No, it's not.
Maybe when you're driving up to Lincoln, but generally speaking, it's not a bunch of cornfields. And that's what, I think a lot of players that are not from here that are all like, oh, I just thought it was cornfields. And I got to Lincoln. And it's like a vibrant downtown that has a nice little city life, but it doesn't have like that huge city feel.
Right.
We got one question too here. This is from CB. Do you have any plans to go to games in the fall?
Yeah, I plan on being at every home game.
How far of a drive is it from Chicago? Because you're in that Chicago suburb, right?
Yeah, so for me, it's only 6 hours.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
No. Honestly, the only game, if they have a home game during, one of my homecoming weekend, I probably won't be there, but
I wouldn't expect you.
I will be at every single home game.
Do you have?
I'll be at every single spring or summer camp they have this year.
Yeah, I just saw that they announced their camp schedule too, so that's huge. Being from outside of Nebraska, I asked this to one of our current players when we interviewed him. It's like a delicacy in Nebraska that everyone tries a runza. Did anyone force you to have a runza while you visited Nebraska either time you came?
I've never had a runza, and when I told the people that, they got on me fast.
Trae, I'm just going to tell you, it's overrated. Okay, I lived there for 15 years. You don't have to have it.
Well, I mean, I'm going to try it because when I tell you, I told kids I've never had a runza, and like their mouths dropped. I'm telling you, like Zane and I had a whole conversation about runzas. Oh, you're a Nebraska commit and haven't had a runza? You're a real Nebraska commit. Like, come on, Zane.
Talking about Zane Rowe.
Yeah.
He, just to backtrack to Zane Rowe there, playing DN and tight end in college is what I read that he would like to do. And if you could play two positions in college, what would they be?
Honestly, DN and tight end, like if anybody could do it, Zane definitely could. He's got the body of a DN, but the athleticism of a tight end. And just put that in your mind, right? I'm gonna keep it 100% honest with you. Like, imagine, right? Like Zane could be a kid that could do that. I really think he could. Sky's the limit for him. So I really hope he's at Nebraska with us. But we've seen Travis Hunter do it. Obviously, it's a lot of a different position, not as many hits on the body. But if anybody could do it, I feel like Zane could.
Do you have a message for Nebraska fans? Then I'll let you get out of here.
Shoot. Go Big Red.
Go Big Red.
I'm going to do everything I can to get the kids to Nebraska.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Trae. We appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Appreciate it.
No problem at all. Thanks for having me on.
We'll see you later, buddy.